Yeah, I think you would.
That sets us up to say there's two.
Yep.
Now what?
Right. Okay.
So we can take our liberty with that.
Take your liberty.
2 households.
There might be a 3 breaks, or you might feel there are none. So just be free with it. Okay.
2 households, both alike in dignity.
In fair Verona.
Where we lay our scene.
From ancient grudge.
Break to new mutiny. Where civil blood
Make civil hands unclean.
Right, let's do it one more time, a little bit quicker.
Can we start again?
Yep.
2 households, both alike in dignity.
In fair Verona.
Where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge.
Break to new mutiny.
where civil blood makes civil hands unclean.
From forth the fatal loins of these 2 foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers,
Take their life.
whose misadventured
Hideous overthrow. Doth with their death.
bury their parents' strife.
The fearful passage of their
Death-marked love.
And the continuance,
Of their parents' rage.
which but their children's end,
Naught could remove.
is now the 2 hours' traffic of our stage.
The which if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss?
Our toil shall strive to mend.
All right. But can you begin to hear it? I mean, this is really what this is about. To a resolution, maybe sometimes a healing.
there's hope too at the end.
I was going to say it also points out the speaker, separates, takes them out of the character of the simple storyteller to the humility to say, if you don't understand what I'm telling you, we'll do our best to try and help you understand this play. It calls attention to the...
Yes. There's there's always a kind of existential thing somewhere there, isn't there? Let's look at ourselves. Yeah. And they're often rather exciting. Remove, stage, attend, mend. It's brilliant, isn't it? That's fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Oh, good. you stay now. Can we just get a little bit together? And what I just want to do is just jostle each other gently while you're doing it, but quite quietly.
Yep.
2 households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene, from ancient grudge. This exercise stops us making the voice behave in the way we think it should. It not only releases the basic violence in the writing, words like grudge, rage, it also releases something in our own voice, some kind of natural, primitive response. Doth with their death, bury their parents' strife. Okay, can you feel that? You see that? I mean, just this is a silly thing because it's an exercise, but you still get irritated when you don't you? And it just releases something in that language. Is it? No. It's like households, families, airing cupboards, larders, everything. Households, and it takes a long time to say. 2 households, both alike in dignity, and then you've got quite short things after that. But these are all things that we can help.
The first 2 lines will set it up, and then it kind of speeds. It seems to have this kind of momentum which goes from ancient grudge break to new mutiny. It sort of really draws you into the story. Yes. And then it sort of slows down towards the end.
That's right.
Changes again.
Yes, and then it opens it out to
Until action, lust is purged, murderous, bloody, full-flaming, savage, extreme, rude, cold.
Laughter with a sigh, a note infallible of breaking honesty. Horsing foot on foot, skulking in corners, wishing clocks more swift, hours, minutes.
Do now is just look very specifically at the structure. Can we just speak the words which grab us as he says it? Just the violent words, as it were, that could be violent. Okay, right.
Happy be Theseus, our renowned duke. Thanks, good Aegeus. What's the news with thee?
Full of vexation come I.
with complaint against my child, my daughter Hermia. Stand forth, Demetrius. Stand forth. My noble lord, this man hath my consent to marry her.
Only the violent words, yes.
Stand forth, Lysander! Stand forth. And my gracious Duke, this man hath bewitched the bosom of my child. Thou, Lysander, thou hast given her rhymes and interchanged love tokens with my child. Thou hast by moonlight at her window sung with feigning voice verses of feigning love, and stoned the expression of her fantasy with bracelets of thy hair, rings, gauds, conceits, knacks, trifles, nosegays, sweetmeats, messengers of strong prevailing in unhardened youth. With cunning hast thou filched my daughter's heart, turned her obedience, which is due to me, to stubborn harshness. And my gracious Duke, be it so, she will not here before your grace consent to marry with Demetrius. I beg the ancient privilege of Athens, as she is mine, I may dispose of her, which shall be either to this gentleman or to her death, according to our law, immediately provided in this case.
A word like filched. You know, Iago uses that word to Othello, and it's not just stolen, is it?
He's like he's just found out and he's got all these rings, gauds, conceits in this chest of drawers.
And those are the things that have bewitched her. So they're dangerous things, aren't they? One thing I think we do forget in Shakespeare is that when you talk about sin, you really mean sin, which is something quite concrete, which we don't know, which we don't view it today in the same way. Bewitched is something absolutely real and quite frightening,
isn't it?
This makes
him very dangerous.
Yes.
Which is so disturbing because it is faintly ridiculous.
Yeah.
After what we saw before, but this makes him so dangerous.
Yeah. And we have to very strongly that we should just do this exercise on the beginning of Hamlet, because it's an amazing piece of writing. It's usually done with a lot of soldiers and a lot of military stuff. I want to see if we can get somewhere in it just by listening to it. This exercise is totally about listening and what we hear. So the actors are going to different spots in this room, space, and we're going to first of all whisper it through, hear what that does to the language. How you speak at night in the dark is a different thing, isn't it? That is also a mystery. It's also part of the mystery. Right, so can you go to your marks, as it were? Yeah, okay.
Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself. Bernardo, you come most carefully upon your hour.
It is now struck 12. Get me to bed, Francisco.
For this relief, much thanks. 'Tis bitter cold, and I am sick at heart.
Have you had quiet guard?
Not a mouse stirring.
Well, good night. If you do meet Horatio and Marcellus, the rivals of my watch, bid them make haste.
I think I hear them. Stand ho! Who is there?
Friends to this ground, and liegemen to the Dane.
Give you good night.
Oh, farewell, honest soldier. Who hath relieved you?
Bernardo hath my place. Give you good night.
Hola, Bernardo. Say, what is Horatio there?
A piece of him.
Welcome, Horatio. Welcome, good Marcellus.
What? Has this thing appeared again tonight?
I have seen nothing. Horatio says 'tis but our fantasy, and will not let belief take hold of him, touching this dreaded sight twice seen of us. Therefore I have entreated and let us once again assail your ears that are so fortified against our story, what we 2 nights have seen.
Well, sit we down, and let us hear Bernardo speak of this.
Last night of all, when yon same star that's westward from the pole had made his course to illume that part of heaven where now it burns, Marcellus and myself, the bell then striking 1.
Peace! Look where it comes again.
In the same figure like the king that's dead.
Thou art a scholar. Speak to it, Horatio.
Look. Looks are not like the king. Mark, Horatio.
Most like. It harrows me with fear and wonder.
It would be spoke to.
Speak to it, Horatio. What art thou that usurps this time of night, together with that fair and warlike form in which the majesty of buried Denmark did sometimes march? By heaven, I charge thee, speak. It is offended.
See, it stalks away.
Stay. Speak. Speak. I charge thee, speak. 'Tis gone and will not answer.
Right. It is very dangerous, isn't it?
Everybody's trying to establish something, so
We're almost on some tower, so these are our watches, and we can't leave them.
Yes.
But yet we have to talk about
There's
it.
not a law. There's a law that you have to whisper because you can't make noise if you're on the watch. You'll lose your head.
Yeah.
But that his watch happens to be that far away, and we do have to discuss this.
Another thing that was really interesting to notice is, like, Victor, you were saying that emotional obligation of these huge things that you wrestle with that these plays are about, particularly something like this, when you physicalize it by running from it and, you know, if it becomes a really active thing like the running or the paranoia in the Leontes, it takes the obligation off of you to somehow we create this emotion through tension, which just makes something more general.
That's the thing we have to learn, isn't it? Yes.
You go, okay, so just I'm running from this and I gotta get away from it. And then it becomes authentic because you're actually doing it.
Yes.
And then there's a million ways that you could actually do that in a more, you know, contained way.
Exactly. That's great. Yeah.
We'll talk later. Yeah, we'll have a drink later. I'll fix you up.
Right. So really what we have been looking at is how the thought develops within a speech, how the thought, and it grows and grows and grows and comes to some conclusion. And the texture